Hello and welcome to our last video from the Philippines, and in this last video we are heading to Panglao and Bohol Islands. We got there from the Cebu Island. There was a direct ferry all the way from Oslo to Panglao, which was super convenient. In total, we were spending 4 days in Panglao. One of them we were planning to spend actually in Bohol Island. However, we stayed all the 4 nights in Panglao. The first 2 nights we stayed at a hotel called Alona Beach Garden Hotel, which was a very budget-friendly, nice hotel, probably 7 to 8 minutes walking from Alona Beach, which is the most famous beach of the Panglao Island. It's really lovely and it is almost as beautiful as the beaches in Boracay. And the last 2 days we stayed at a resort. I will show you the resort a little bit later, but we did most, kind of the bulk of sightseeing and exploring in the first 2.5 days in Panglao. So first thing first, we actually went to the town. The town is very chilled during the day. There's not much going on, and that's understandable because in April and May it is unbearably hot. Actually, we noticed that most of the cafes that had air conditioning were full. That's where all the foreigners were hiding. And then we checked out the beach. The beach was beautiful. As I mentioned before, it was a pleasure to swim there. However, make sure to bring some shoes for swimming because there are so many sea urchins, but there are also many starfishes and those kind of like big blue ones, which are very impressive. This was the beach with the most starfishes I've ever seen in my entire life. When it wasn't that hot anymore, at least not that sunny anymore, most of the people were actually going out. That was after the sunset, and the town was finally awake. Panglao is not as busy as Boracay. It has this nice chilled village atmosphere. Of course, it's much bigger than Boal. It has a very different vibe. It's like a proper resort destination, but it is not as busy and not as touristy as Boracay. There were actually very few foreigners, and most of the people visiting were locals from other places in the Philippines. But the prices were kind of similar to Boracay, maybe just a little bit cheaper. Next day we went on a sightseeing tour. So we bought this private half-a-day tour to Bohol Island to see the chocolate hills and some of the other main landmarks. It is a really common thing to do, so most people buy either a private tour or a group tour in a large bus. So most people actually don't stay on Bohol Island, they stay on Panglao, just like we did. And the first location of the tour is always the chocolate hills. They are located quite far away, quite a long drive away from Panglao Island, over 2 hours. We paid around £40 or $50 for this tour, and that is excluding entry tickets to most attractions, but they are not so expensive unless you're taking the Loboc River cruise. But anyways, the view was lovely. It wasn't too busy, but it was really hot, so even though it was a really small climb to the top of the observation deck, we struggled a little bit. Our next stop was Tarsier conservation spot, and this is the place where you could see the famous tarsiers. They're really cute tiny animals. They're nocturnal, so they sleep during the day, so it's actually quite tricky to find them with their eyes open. That's why it's actually prohibited to make any noise in the conservation area. But unfortunately, some people and even the people working in the place were not only waking them up, but also poking them for pictures for a small tip, which we found really sad. So I don't actually recommend this place. It was a bit cruel. Then we had a little snack in the coconut and headed to the last destination of our tour, the Loboc River cruise. So that river cruise also took a lot of time just because it was so busy on that day. It took us around an hour and a half to wait for our turn to board the cruise, and this area was not air conditioned, so it was quite challenging to sit there. The price of a cruise is very affordable. It's just $13 per person, and it includes an unlimited buffet, and food was actually really nice. We really enjoyed it. The views were stunning. There was also live music and entertainment, and you had to pay for the drinks, but they were also quite affordable. So we really enjoyed the cruise. The only problem was the wait for it. Usually there are more stops on a tour of the Bohol Island, but we decided to cut the tour a little bit shorter just because we waited so long for the Loboc River cruise and it was time for our driver to go home because we booked a half-a-day tour. So we returned and went to a really nice Thai restaurant called Wonderland Sava Thai Food. It was really good. I definitely recommend this place, even though, I mean, it's Thai food in the Philippines, but it was great. And then we went to an Irish pub. The owner was the nicest person ever. So today we are moving to another resort, and this resort is going to be a little bit better than the one we are staying at the moment. And I'm honestly looking forward to it. And we might have some sunbeds on the beach. And we have the last 2 remaining days of our holiday pretty much. And I'm looking forward to it because I honestly got a little bit tired because we're moving quite a bit and doing a lot of sightseeing. So I'm just looking forward to relaxing a little bit on the beach. And yeah, chilling and enjoying the places. But first it was time for breakfast. We went to the place called Shaka in Panglao, and we've been to this place before in Bohol, and we fell in love with it. And when we found out it is a chain, we rushed to this place in Panglao because it has the healthiest and the nicest fruit bowls and really delicious coffee. Honestly, this place is 10 out of 10. I definitely recommend it to everyone. There's something for everyone, honestly. Then we went to the hotel, finished packing and got a tuk-tuk to the resort. It took us around 15 minutes to drive to the resort. And once we arrived, I literally stored my camera and we started resting, and I didn't pick it up until the next day. Today is our last full day in the resort and the last day of holiday. So we are planning to be some vegetables, basically laying down all day resting, because tomorrow we are taking a ferry back to Cebu and we will be working. So yeah, the holidays are over. The resort where we were staying is called South Palms Resort Panglao. I will leave the link to the resort in the description of the video down below, as always. Overall, I think we liked the resort. I wasn't kind of overly blown away by it. It's not an all-inclusive resort. It is operating on breakfast-only basis, and you can have lunch and dinner in the restaurant of the resort. We liked the breakfast. It had a really good selection of dishes and a really good variety. There were lots of Asian dishes as well as Western dishes, so everybody had something for something they like. But the variety in the restaurant for lunch and dinner was really small. It was more of a snack bar, although for dinner they had a really large selection of seafood, if you like seafood. And since the menu was quite small and it was the same for lunch and for dinner, I think in 2 days we literally tried pretty much all the dishes they have there. So if you kind of want a variety, I recommend just taking a taxi or a tuk-tuk and heading somewhere else, heading outside the town. But the only downside, the hotel is quite far away from the main town. So it is far away from Alona Beach, so there is nothing nearby. And it is, yeah, probably like a 10-minute drive by taxi to go somewhere. There wasn't also much animation or even kind of like some gym or sports program. There was live music, however, and there were some weddings happening nearby. Overall, we enjoyed our stay and we were glad we only stayed for 2 days. It was time for us to go back to Cebu Island, and to do so, we hired a taxi that brought us to the main ferry terminal. Even though Panglao is really very small, somehow the capital, that is actually located on Bohol Island, is quite congested. So it took us around half an hour to go to the ferry terminal. Again, we bought the ferry tickets on 12 Go Travel. I will leave the link to the website where you can buy the ferry tickets in the description of the video. We actually got business class tickets. They were only $3 or $4 more expensive per ticket. And the total price was like $16 or $17, and that's how the business class cabin looked like. So yeah, to be fair, it wasn't that different from economy class, but it was a little bit more spacious and had a TV with some cartoon on. In Cebu City, we only spent about 1.5 days. We had to work remotely and only had half a day to explore the city. But unfortunately, Cebu City is not the most beautiful city in the Philippines, and we weren't very lucky with the weather. It was raining and it was very, very hot. So we didn't see much. Most of the landmarks are actually located just outside the city. And in order to get there, you need to take a taxi and drive for about 45 minutes. So we didn't have time to do so, unfortunately. So these are some of the main landmarks, and they are related to nature. Some of them are botanic gardens or beautiful monuments located outside Cebu. But if you have one full day in Cebu City, you can totally take a tour that will bring you to some of these landmarks, or just grab a taxi and choose 1 or 2 landmarks of your choice, and you can totally see them. I actually love the buses in Cebu. They were so unique and so colorful. That's actually it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below, and see you in the next video. Bye!